This episode is brought to you by Arlon Graphics, a trusted source for high-performance cast vinyl. This is their new product, DPF V9500, which is a high-performance, non-PVC polyurethane product that is made for highly textured surfaces like this. Check out this and all the new products Arlon has coming out at Wensco.com. No, let's leave it just like that.
Yes, you can.
Get her glue.
Get her glue. Get her done. Okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Welcome.
But he's not recording. Wait, we are recording. Rick hasn't sat down yet, though. I gotta give him a second. Everyone take a breath, okay? Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for coming back to another episode. 72 episodes. So we haven't decided on when we're doing the next live episode. There's some debate whether we do it at 75 or 78. But by the time this airs, we'll have a date for the live episode. So the live date is Domingo. Thank you. After Rick edited him last time, now I'm just going to keep doing it.
Cool edit, that was pretty good.
He was like, you have to look at it. And then he kept moving it around the screen.
That was pretty good.
That's a great edit, Rick. So
nice job.
Here's the problem, though. This is like it's like we talked about this morning in sales, right? When you try and hit your numbers for the month before, so you push everything up, and then next month you have to try even harder. That's what Rick just did, right? He set the bar high, so now we're like, oh, that's a great idea. We should make you do that more often. So if you didn't want to do that, that's what you did to yourself. I'm just warning you. So, but yeah. So right here's the date. We'll do in the next live episode. We might have some things to talk about. maybe not.
Maybe.
We have had a few,
or we might have a location.
We have a few big things happening at Wensco.
Where we do the podcast.
Yeah, we might have a new podcast studio location.
Yes.
Who knows?
Maybe.
We'll see. Could be anything. You'll never know.
You guys could not work here by then. I could be doing it by myself too.
That's true. No, we'll still be doing it. I'm keeping the rights.
Oh, great.
Hello, everyone. No longer sponsored by Wensco Sign Supply. I have some things to tell you. It's me running down the street. So anyways, we have a new guest. We haven't even mentioned him. So Rod, thanks for coming and sitting through this wonderful intro. I still understand how people agree to come on the podcast, but we appreciate you coming out. Luckily for us, the next few episodes you'll hear, we have our national sales meeting is this week. So we have a lot of vendors coming in. So I asked a bunch of them if they wanted to come on the podcast. Can
I just address it right now? We shouldn't call ourselves a national sales meeting. Like they like to say, it's our annual national sales meeting at our global headquarters.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, we have sales reps coming from the Midwest at some location just north of Grand Rapids.
I'd stick with national.
It sounds great, though.
Because eventually it's going to grow.
Yeah.
So
multinational.
Yeah.
At our world headquarters
I think
here.
we're just going to preemptively
worldwide. That's a different thing.
We're preemptively changing it to global for next year, just out of spite.
Global meeting.
You were mad at me for national. It's just our global sales meeting, dude. I got reps coming in from everywhere. They might not be Wensco sales reps, but some of the vendors are coming out from, not the United States. So,
all right, let's do it.
So it counts. So anyways, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, am I supposed to mention what this is? So there's a new object on the table. So from what I learned this week, if you don't have a serpentine belt on your car, it doesn't run great. It turns out you got to tow it to get it fixed. So, and when the people at Advanced Auto Parts come out to test your battery and there's no belt in there, they don't even test the battery. Apparently they don't care. Apparently if I don't have the belt, the battery doesn't matter at all.
It's not going to recharge.
She says,
so how'd you get the whole part though? Don't you just change the belt?
So I don't know. How would I know?
Yeah, like listen, the other side of our family builds race cars for fun. This side of the family, we couldn't even tell you where to put the oil in the car.
So it's funny because so the guy that I send my cars,
we got different skills.
Yeah, the guy I send my car to now is a guy I've known since high school. And by chance, Tate and I's cars were both in the shop at the same time. So he just comes back from picking up his car and was like, here. And I was like, what's this? He's like, I don't know. He just gave it to me when I was there and I gave it back to you. And I was like, okay. So I was like, was I supposed to use this? He's like, no, he said he just happened to hand it to me when I walked in. So I just handed it to Tate to give it to you. I was like, okay, sweet. I guess I'll take it. So it turns out that pulley is pretty important. So
Slightly.
this is me telling you guys that pulley,
Public
whatever it
service
is,
announcement there.
it's important. Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
not
if
as
you-
important as our guest that is here that we're talking.
Amen.
No, I'd rather talk about
pulleys.
pulleys and maybe
My Lego
important
bonsai tree.
parts for somebody's car that
And
are just
is-
sitting on this table next to
Yeah.
a Lego bonsai tree. And
And his bonsai tree lost all its leaves or got tipped over and knocked a bunch of Legos off.
Started dying. I didn't have to water it, and then somehow it still died.
still died. You're the only person that can basically kill a plastic bonsai tree.
I did it. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, Rod, thanks for coming. If you want to do a quick intro on who you are, how long you've been in the industry, and what your current role is.
Rod Fleming. I am currently I'm the national sales manager for the sign and display platform for IPS Adhesives. So IPS Adhesives is one of the three operating companies that make up IPS Corporation. We manufacture a variety of primarily structural adhesives, so two-part cartridged or meter mixed out of a bulk containment system. But with respect to sign and display, we manufacture the Welding brand of solvent cements, as well as two-part cartridged structural adhesives for for display assembly, as well as electrical sign fabrication.
So, and how long have they been making adhesives for this industry? Or I guess
For this
total?
industry, I mean, the company was started in around 1964, I believe, and it was primarily a manufacturer of plumbing solvents for PVC pipe. We started building, say, 3 and 16 about 27 years ago, I'd say. From that, as the company grew, we started to manufacture structural adhesives that have really sort of taken, I think, a bigger focus as far as we're concerned, primarily to go against groups like, say, Lord or ITW Plexus. That started with our Welding 45 product, which we still sell all over the country. Lately, we've been putting a big push behind our Welding 30 structural adhesive, as well as the Welding 46C, which is a basically translucent, clear structural adhesive for cabinets, for just generally speaking for the sign industry. We don't sell it anywhere else, so it's pretty much industry specific for that.
I have to say I like the system as far as like it's Welding number 4, number 16, number 3. Like it's for distributor, so easy, right? Like, oh, okay, we need number 4 in a gallon. Okay, perfect. Like I like that system instead of like all these letters and numbers put together. It's like, okay, what is it? It's number 4.
Yeah, that's not the case with our other divisions, or other platforms within IPS Adhesive. We have some really strange nomenclature that really doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, with respect to the solvents and even like 45, 30, you're not really getting into some crazy stuff that takes a while to figure out how to pronounce or more basically enunciate. But yeah, it's pretty easy. Number 4, Welding 4, Welding 3. Yeah, we try to make it simple.
So I'm looking at your water bottle here. It says Ironman 70.3. Like, is that a race you ran, or is that?
Yeah, that's just a constant reminder of some of the bad decisions I make in life and things that I do to,
You know what?
to do.
I've done some of those too. I was actually just talking to Tyler because Tyler started running. He's like pretending like he's training for a race, but he's not training for a race.
I'm pretending.
So he's 30. I look back, it was when I was 32. I ran the Mackinac Island race, and I ran it in 48 minutes. It's 8 miles. So I averaged just about a 6-minute mile for 8 miles back when I was 32 years old and
So
in better shape. And
I got 2 years then.
got 2 years to train.
catch up.
Yeah.
That's a long time, dude. I could train 24 months. I get to train for.
Well, those are some fast
Okay.
miles.
But that all started with a very poor decision on my part where I ran the Riverbank run. It's 15.5 miles. I never ran a 5K at that point, but someone at work challenged me. You know how this goes. Oh, he said, I'm going to run it. I'm like, you're not a runner. You don't even you can barely walk without tripping. So it went back and forth, and he said he could beat me. So I ran it. That was a 2 hour and 11 minute. I'll never forget it. Couldn't walk for like 2 weeks straight. Lost all my toenails. Worst decision in my entire life. Like in Grand Rapids, you go to buy that Johnson Park. When you turn, you could see the Amway Grand Plaza, and you're like, I got to run all the way back there. Like I was already beat, but I finished it, and I could not walk I could not go up. I could go upstairs. I could not go downstairs. Yeah. Forever. It's a poor decision. And then I started running a little more, and then I realized, this is a really bad idea. Like even that one I ran 48 minutes, I puked halfway through because we might have had steak and beer the night before.
Well, you were carb loading.
Yeah,
it's good
carb
for you.
loading with beer was not the best idea.
Oh, it's a great idea.
Usually carbs in liquid form, though, not a good idea.
That's how serious I take everything, really. That's why it's slightly serious, because even that I didn't take serious. But when the guy passed me, the first time I ran it, dribbling 3 basketballs, I wanted to kick one in the lake so bad.
There's always going to be somebody there.
There's always somebody that
makes you
just
look like you have
irritates
no
me.
clue what you're doing.
I remember the riverbank run. There was a guy that looked like he was 114 years old. And I remember thinking, if that dude beats me, like I'm going to kill myself right here. And about mile 10, here he goes, slowly running by me. And I'm like, that's it. Took my shirt off and like really buckled down. He still beat me probably.
It was the tortoise and the hare.
Yeah. But you're still here. So you didn't kill yourself.
I made it.
That's good.
I made it. Yeah.
Did you have to find some help?
No, I knocked him down.
All right.
That's all he won.
Oh, isn't that how the race started with you and your dad? You pushed him?
Yeah, that's what he says.
I won the race.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no one else finished.
There were
just
4
me.
people that entered.
there's one more story I got to do before we get into this.
Oh yeah, I
thing.
forgot you were supposed to tell this story.
So for all the dads out there that understand this, when your kids borrow stuff from you. So Tayan borrowed my golf clubs about 2 years ago. Hasn't returned them. He came to me this week and said, Dad, your driver's broke. You need a new one. He borrowed that thing 2 years ago and he knocked the head off it or something, probably because he hits the ground all the time. But he's like, Dad, your driver's broke. You need a new one. I haven't golfed in 2 years or more. He's had the clubs the whole time. Like, no, and he wanted me to buy a new driver for my set that he owns or uses.
Well, he doesn't want to give it back. It's an incomplete set.
Yeah, so
He would like you to
Dad,
fill it.
Yeah, Dad, I really
Just
want
like
the Big
to-
Bertha.
Yeah, Dad, your driver broke. It was
some
really
links.
nice.
Yeah. Here's the links to a couple I would recommend for
Father's
you.
Day's coming up.
Well, you mentioned
You should get yourself a new driver.
We'll wait for a couple more. All right, so we can get started now. Like, yeah, but I'm not getting a new driver. That's nonsense.
Yeah, that's fair. So the way I thought about this podcast is
Also, he wouldn't let me stay at his house last night.
I'm not explaining that. I refuse. So the way I structured this, just thinking about it, right? Like adhesives, when we talk about it as like today we're going to talk about adhesives, right? There's nobody that is sitting here listening that was like, I am pumped. This is what I've been waiting for, right? But there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot of people that are using it, or some people that probably aren't using it that maybe should. So we were looking at it like, what are better options for what they're currently using, cheaper options for what they're currently using, or just a different method or way they should be using it that maybe they aren't currently using it, is the way I looked at kind of structuring the questions. So hopefully if you use any adhesives or you're building any cabinetry at all, this podcast will help you do that better, cheaper, or differently than you're currently doing it and save you some time maybe. I know like for us on our side, when we originally talked with you specifically, we did a decent job at selling the like acrylic to acrylic or plastic to plastic basically. And then not a great job at basically the rest of your guys' adhesives until we kind of got familiar with it. And so I think with our customers, that may be the case where a lot of them are more familiar with one side of your product than the other one. So hopefully this will give them kind of everything they might need to know, especially with some of the changes, which we'll talk about later. But So what applications primarily are the adhesives on the sign side of the industry being used for?
Trim cap, polycarbonate, so with 3 and 16. If you walk into any shop nationwide, there's a 85 to 90% chance that those 2 products will be somewhere in the shop, and they've been using them for well over a decade, if not longer, pushing 2. What we're starting to see more of now are the full acceptance and use of the structural adhesives to replace fastening or welding. And just generally speaking, when you compare the use of a structural adhesive versus, say, welding or versus mechanical, especially versus mechanically fastening something together, there's a greater failure rate using mechanical fasteners. Just generally speaking, when you put those 2 things together, there's a tendency, whether it be through vibration or time or weather or this, that, other thing, that fastener will break down and weaken, and that's the failure point. Structural adhesives don't do that over their lifespan. So that's the big selling point, just from a peace of mind, labor savings. It's just easier. You don't have to drill pilot holes. You don't have to go out and source a variety of different fasteners and then have somebody trained to put them on there. Once we teach you how to lay down a bead of adhesive, it's pretty much the learning curve is over at that point. So that's going through the door, generally speaking, what IPS Adhesives does. We go after any market, whether that be transportation, marine, recreational vehicle, industrial, like wastewater, things like that, where what we're trying to do is convince you to not weld or mechanically fasten whatever the two substrates you're trying to mate or put together. We're, I think, a tad bit late to structural adhesives in the electrical sign fabrication space. I think in the past, groups like Lord or ITW Plexus or ASI put more of an emphasis. So we've taken a look at this market and made the determination that, yeah, there's a great acceptance of the Weld on 45 product. And then, like I just mentioned, as you walk into any shop across the country, there's a high percentage chance you're going to see 3 and 16. So we have the entree, and now we can bring in some of our newer products, some things that we've developed for other applications in other industries that we think have a competitive advantage over, say, Lord 406. And it's been a pretty interesting 2 years now since we've been really focusing on sign fabrication. We're more excited this year than we were last year, and we were more excited last year than the last 13. So generally speaking, that's what we're doing at IPS Adhesives.
Yeah, we've used them for the sign cabinet classes.
Yep.
And we kind of explained to customers that when you use screws, that's one way of doing it, welding, and then we use adhesive. And the reason why we use adhesive is because we're trying to explain to the customers that when you use screws, yes, you can fasten them, but when that wind hits that sign, and exactly what you were just saying, it vibrates. And what happens to that screw? Little by little, it gets loose, and failure happens.
Yep. Then you end up with a pulley sitting on your desk.
There you go. Exactly.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's what we're talking about. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you guys, but I just want to take a minute to talk about Nakusa, the name behind R-Tape. R-Tape's the #1 application tape out there, but they are more than just tape now. Nakusa has a full range of products out there. Their new one is called NextBond. This is a UV cured adhesive. Why does that matter? It's an eco-friendly and durable option, but comparable to most of the eco-friendly options, this is a cost-effective product. So if you're looking for an eco-friendly product or a durable product or just in general a good vinyl, NextBond is going to be the one for you. This is available at Wensco.com as well as all of their other products. So check it out at Wensco or reach out if you have any questions. Oh, and don't forget to use your Nakusa bucks. Have you heard about Metamark? Metamark is a company that sells premium graphic solutions for commercial and fleet signage. So whether that's walls or it's vehicles or it's tables or doors, we loved it so much we put it all over the podcast studio. So you can check it out on our videos or at Wensco.com. No, and like the benefit is it's permanent, right? Mm-hmm. For pros and cons that we've obviously learned in the cabinet class, right? If you put one piece on backwards and put that adhesive on there, you're done, right? It's never coming off.
Yeah.
But that's the point, right? Yeah. Is you're saying, I'm going to put this cabinet together and I don't want it to move for the next however long it's going to be up there.
The nice point about it is that structural adhesive doesn't break down.
No.
Like it's not the Elmer's glue when you were in school where 3 years later, all of a sudden your thing falls off because that broke down. It's permanent.
Well, these are adhesives that you're using on vehicles. You're using on airplanes now versus using screws or weld.
Yeah, we had I think I was talking to you about a customer that was asking for specific strengths on it. Yeah. And your response to me was, it's going to be way higher than whatever they're asking for, was basically your response. You're like, I can get them the actual numbers if they want them, but like, they don't understand like the other applications for the same adhesive is holding like cars and airplanes together, right? Like for whatever signage method you're doing, it's not going to matter. It's going to hold it.
I mean, the reality that we test to the standards, we have to basically break whatever substrate we're testing. You do not want cohesive and you do not want adhesive. Adhesive is bad. You want substrate failure. So we're looking for 100% substrate failure before we'll put our name behind the product going out. When you're talking about, like the example you're giving, with signs in the industry, you know, what we'll test for leads to a certain point, and that fatigue or that failure rate with our products and with what our customers, I say ours as IPS and Wensco's customers, what they're doing, they're not going to ever meet that, or that product's short of an act of God like a hurricane or a tornado. You're not going to break it the way that we're testing, and what we're looking for is a failure mode. Domingo, you put pretty succinctly. I mean, we're testing these products in a transportation environment, marine environment, or in stationary environments that they really won't see those kind of forces exerted unless we're doing that purposefully.
So I went to an RV show, and I'm seeing a lot of the adhesives in the RVs now.
Yep.
Versus a lot of nails and stuff like that. They're using a strip of adhesive and popping it on, and it ain't moving.
Yeah.
So I may have used some to put some trim back up in the Wensco RV.
I use some for my garage.
Oh yeah, I mean, people do it all the time, but they're absolutely engineered to do that kind of stuff. There's not, we don't just sit there and go, oh, you know, we're going to do this. We're going to build this product for polycarbonate, and we're going to build this product for. No, I mean, they're all designed for fiberglass, carbon fiber, various metals to be used in the construction of a trailer, for instance. So
even kitchen cabinets. I've seen it in the new builds of houses and stuff.
Sure,
that's what they're using.
Back when Tyler was a fish tank guy, we used to look at, like, I would watch some of those videos, and when you're putting a 100-gallon fish tank together with glue, it says something, right? Like, okay, that's a powerful, because all that pressure, all that stuff.
It's crazy when you think about it. Like when you've like this puts into perspective, right? If you're asking about, like, oh, can I glue this on this face, and is it gonna like fall off? Like if anyone's been to, or you can look it up, the Georgia Aquarium where they have the whale shark, like there's basically just acrylic panels fused together, like, and they are trusting
Weld-On 42 in that situation
to hold that together.
Yeah.
And that is like, when you look at it, you're like, there is millions, it feels like, pounds of pressure on this panel and it doesn't move, right? So like, if they're going to trust it, I could definitely trust my sign to get held up in the air with my little sheet of alpha panel, right? So I just thought that was funny when I reached out to you, and that's basically was your response, was like, it's not going to matter, but I'll get it to you. Like, it's going to hold.
Not to diminish those kind of questions. That wasn't the point. The point is, I mean, what the data that I'll come back with is so much just overkill. Like, especially if you're talking about like 30, because that's basically just us rebranding our most popular, SG300, which was built specifically for heavy transportation. So think PACCAR, Daimler Trucks, so Western Star, Freightliner, those tractors. The products that our customers build are never going to see the environmental or the chemical consideration that the Bondline 300 or 30 in this case will go through in that product. So, I mean, it's not that the customer that comes to you with this question, they're all intelligent, they're all engineering products, but at the end of the day, the numbers that I'll come back with are like, here you go. But I mean, you're never going to, you can't. I mean, short of just purposefully trying to break it, that those kind of forces, environmental or just, structural, are just not going to be placed upon the bond line and those substrates.
It was kind of funny when we had that cabinet class and the lady accidentally did backwards one of the panels, and we didn't catch it. It was our fault. We didn't catch it. We had a big class, and we're trying to get through it.
I don't want to hear excuses.
Well, I'm blaming ourselves because we didn't check it. But as soon as it set, we took the straps off. We started looking at it, and I'm like, oh no. I grabbed it, and I kind of went, this is what happens when we don't check it. But hey, once it's glued, listen, everybody, once it's glued, I banged it on the ground. Bang!
Yeah. How much time was that?
It's not coming out 4 to 6 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can see how well the stuff works.
That's done.
And that was 80%. It's like, it's not coming over. So now we use it for our cabinet class to show don't jump ahead, everybody. This is what we got.
And this glue is permanent.
Yeah.
So we make this point to say, like, if you're currently welding or using screws, it's probably not the most recommended way. And I say that from this perspective of everything we just talked about, but also from our perspective of being in some of these biggest shops. None of the big shops are, I mean, some of them are welding if you're running into really specific applications where you need it. Yeah. But it's so infrequent that most of it is adhesive. So if you're not using adhesive, we would recommend you at least look at it. But from that perspective, excuse me, what are some of the bigger like issues or mistakes that customers make, especially if they're new to adhesives?
I'm hesitant to say this because, my whole goal in life right now professionally is to sell adhesive. But the one thing we do see with a couple of our products is they use too much of it. So that could either lead to discoloration or excessive thermal reaction because you got so much mass in one particular spot, so that it could show some distortion on a cosmetic or painted surface. We manufacture all of our adhesive to have low bond line read through, a very controlled exotherm. So that's the chemical reaction basically causing to set up and cure. And we do that for a variety of reasons, but one is just you don't want to mess up a cosmetic painted surface. So yeah, if we see a problem right now, it's typically either they're using too much of it or too little. I mean, there's a sweet spot that's pretty easy to get to when you're dispensing it out of the gun. The tips are actually designed to dispense a specific diameter bead, and you can adjust it maybe 3 different sizes, but you just don't need that much of the stuff. But beyond that, like I said, every day we're trying to walk into shops and demonstrate 30 and 46C right now to just show the customer base that these products are here, that they work, and that they replace either an underperforming structural adhesive they're already using, or to get them away from using mechanical fasteners or welding. And I mean, at some points there will be welding specified projects. We understand that, but those are becoming lesser and less. But you still have to employ a welder or bring in a welder, and your costs can skyrocket there. So, generally we would argue there's a labor savings, there's a cost savings, there's just a learning curve that once you get over is right there. But after those steps, from a troubleshooting perspective, we don't really walk through the door too often with major problems. You're always going to have some things that pop up that you have to resolve based on something some customer might be doing. Typically what we see that's another big problem is that they don't take the mixing tip off and then put the cap back on. You don't want it to be exposed to air, and you do not want to try to then dispense using a disposable tip that's already set up. But yeah, between customers that are generally speaking using too much material or they're trying to reuse a tip, the problems are few and far between.
All customer error. You just said. Yeah.
Well, I can see. Nobody wants to continue to dispose of a mixing tip. They want to try to maximize, that part of their cost. But it just is what it is. Once you start to dispense the material, the A and the B side mix, and your chemical reactions taking place, so you're on the clock.
That's what I was.
It's basically I was going to bring beginning users that don't know how to do it, or cheap people that keep trying to use this dollar tip over again. Yeah. So don't be cheap. Once you learn how to use it, you'll be fine.
I was going to bring up, because we usually teach this in our cabinet classes, that if you're going to do, like we had a bunch of cabinets, you got to have everything ready to go. If it's a 4 to 6 minute, it's going to cure 80% 4 to 6 minutes. Yeah. You want to have everything ready to go as you're doing it. Don't do one, set it aside, and then assemble the other one, and then do it again. It's going to harden.
It's the do one, answered the phone call.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden go back, your tips solid through, and you don't have another one. So now you're trying to just push it out.
They're just trying to push it out. Out of the gun. Then you get blowback because the material's got to go somewhere under that pressure, and it'll just shoot the cartridge from the backside out, and then your gun will be trashed. And I don't know. Again, Domingo makes a strong point. What we've learned over the last 2 years, especially because of a new product that we just launched, which is a novel, I think, industry leading, we're the only company that basically manufactures this in the world, and it actually works product. But it's got a very, very fast working time, like 2 to 3 minutes, right? So once you get set up, you need to have all of your final assembly in place, ready to go. You're not doing your prep work. You're not, wiping it down with IPA to make sure there's no surface contaminant or anything like that. You need to be ready to go. And as we've kind of stumbled through that and figured out how to best prepare our customers to use this product, it then kind of, that information definitely transfers over to all of our products. So to your point, just be ready to go. whatever you got on the dock that day, whatever you put in together, make sure your parts are all there, you're ready to go, and you're going to just be able to go through that checklist and remove one potential problem there. So yeah, it's just very good application practice and sound advice.
And the next thing is just buy more tips. Just
buy more tips.
Yes. Jesus. Yeah. They're not that expensive. Just buy more tips. Have them ready.
Yeah, that's what we've seen that with the cabinet class too, where you set it down for just long enough and then you're like, nope, we're not doing this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the most avoidable problem. But unfortunately, people try to maximize the life of that tip when, it's
and if you put a new tip on, make sure you purge it correctly. Yep. Just make sure you purge it right.
So
where can they learn how to do that?
At Wensco.com.
Wensco cabinet class.
You guys show how to do it?
Yes, we do.
We have the next one.
I've seen the video.
The next one we have scheduled. We haven't put the address on there yet. I don't know why.
Because it could be special.
It's got we have a special next. Our next one is a special class. Yeah,
it could be special.
It's top secret. Special.
Top secret.
Well, I know it's special with you guys there.
Yeah, thank you. What does Domingo say about it? Tyler gets what he wants. Thank you. Thank you, Domingo. Whatever Tyler wants.
Let's do what Tyler wants to do.
Thank you. So talking about the only complaint we seem to get that I've heard, in the last 12 months is on ACM, right? And in terms of like you had said, if you use too much, you get too much heat, and the ACM will get like a warp on the reverse side, right?
Example, bond line read through.
So the other problem on that side that I don't think we see it as much on with the products that we have here, but on some of the other ones is we're getting some ACM that is so incredibly thin that they're they're beating the ACM and then they're putting the adhesive on and then it's immediately just warping on the other side. And they're like, how do I fix this? And we're like, not sure with what you're working with, there's going to be an option here. So is that something you guys are running into? Is it avoidable, or is there a point where the ACM is too thin that it's going to do that?
There theoretically will be a point where it's too thin. I mean, even if you lay down using a 50 milliliter cartridge, a smallest diameter on the mixing tips, you're not cutting, those 3 layers of bead thickness control on every tip. But the smallest bead, you're going to get to a point where when you made the ACM to whatever you're trying to bond it to, there could just still be enough fill or enough of a bead that even after pressure, that heat that comes from the BPO, the activators, theoretically going to cause distortion on the other side. Now,
don't buy the cheap ACM.
Yeah,
I really just wanted him to say that because my follow-up point was we don't sell that ACM here.
We don't sell that cheap ACM at Wensco.
At a certain point, your customers should be savvy enough to realize, okay, if I use a certain brand of adhesive that's a very, very low price point, you're gonna deal with certain considerations, whether those are increases in failure rate or distortion, because there's just a high exotherm. Now, if you use more of it, that heat is even greater because you have more mass, like we mentioned earlier. But you get to a certain point with ACM or even, certain aluminum where the thickness is going to either not be a problem or become a problem. But with that thinner gauge also becomes maybe the need for not as much adhesive. So, there's things you can do to play around with it. And then there are also other products that we would have that we could theoretically get in to test. But
that's what I was just about to say. Play with it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Test it. Try it.
From what I'm hearing, it's the opposite what I do. Like, more is always better. Like when it says
not what it is.
When it says you need 4, like, okay, well, I probably need 8.
You treat it like garlic in a recipe. That's how you treat it. It's like you need 2 cloves, and you're like, so you mean 2 entire pieces of garlic, right? I'm smashing the whole thing in there.
Yeah,
that's how people are treating adhesive too. Where they're like, I gotta just put more in there, right? Just keep adding. I'm thinking
the tire is 60 pressure, not 80. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very good points right there.
Yeah, and I think like ibuprofen, it says take 2. Okay, I need 6 then.
That's not how adhesive works.
I'm seeing
turns out
more is not better in that situation. Like,
that's a good transition. Like the other thing that I brought up at the beginning is is there a way to make it more affordable for the sign shop? And it sounds like the first thing we're talking about is maybe start using less adhesive. You probably don't
trust
need nearly
it,
as
right?
much as
Trust the adhesive.
Well, trust that it'll work because it does work. Yeah. And so we've got plenty of data to back that up. I'm not trying to diminish customers from determining what the specific amount is for the particular project that they're working on, whatever they're building. That differs. So when everybody says, when anyone would tell you like, oh, you need a gap thickness of this, no matter what you're doing. Well, I don't buy that because I don't know what they're doing. I don't know the size of the project. So when people ask me like, well, how many linear feet does a cartridge dispense? It's like, well, it just depends on what you're doing, but we can give you a general idea. So, I mean, there are all sorts of caveats and questions that come at us that we're trying to figure out consistently. But what I come back to is if you have questions, if the customer has questions, talk to the Wensco rep, and then the Wensco rep can bring in the experts like me or our technical staff. When I can't answer the questions, I'm not going to tell you something ridiculous. I'll just be like, I've got a very talented technical team that will bring to your location. We'll show you how to use the product. We'll troubleshoot with you. There are reasons why people want to use industry leaders and experts and things like that and world-class products. And we try on a daily basis to continue to improve our service levels, our product levels, and our technical, acumen to back up the use of those products in the field. So I would say customers by and large should be depending on their Wensco rep to talk to them initially about the product and the values therein. But beyond that, when the questions start to get, a little uncomfortable and not, more technical in nature, just reach out to us. And then, we'll bring material, we'll demo with you, we'll work with you, we'll figure out what the best thing is for the parts you're building, the substrates you're bonding. Do it all the time. But you'd be surprised how many customers just don't take advantage of that service.
Yeah.
I feel like it sounds like he was here this morning. It sounds like he was at our morning meeting.
Sounds like what we already talked about, right?
Yeah, we just talked about it.
We talked about that in our annual sales meeting this morning.
Yeah, our whole morning meeting was like, we would like, the customer should be, first point of contact should be the sales rep, right? If they have a question, that's the whole reason we're here, right? That's we're dealing with like people calling into customer service and customer service not knowing the answer. Be like, well, we're not, customer service isn't sales support, right? Yeah. So we're saying customer service should be able to help you place orders and generally give you a product recommendation, right? Like I'm looking for this in silver. Okay. It's this part number. Okay. Perfect. Right. But like in terms of like, hey, how long does it take for this adhesive to set? Right. Yeah, they can look at the spec sheet on the thing, but like that should be a sales rep question. That's our whole pitch. Is like, if you have questions, you should reach out to a sales rep. And if you don't know who your sales rep is, let us know, because we would like to know that you don't know who your sales rep is, and we'll point you in the right direction.
That was our story this morning. As a sales rep called me to tell on himself. That's basically what happened. He called to say he was mad because customer service couldn't answer a simple question, and I just turned it on. I'm like, why didn't they call you?
Yeah.
They should have called you.
It's a pretty convenient tool for a customer to use because you're constantly talking to your customer service teams. That's just a daily interaction, right? And so it becomes convenient. The problem is they're not going to be able to answer the question. And then then they think differently. So then your job becomes a little harder because you got to retrain them to come to the sales rep to ask the question they should be asking in the first place to the sales rep rather than trying to conveniently get information. But we all do it. So,
and we should keep getting smarter. Like we should be riding with people, like our guys should be riding with people like you, where they can hear your sales pitch to the end user, where they can, mimic it to a point that's probably good enough to get the sale and get the people to know what they need to know instead of having to always rely on you. Like every time, like, okay, did you listen to his response last time, or have you rode with them, to understand like how they're selling it and what the points are, what the times are, all that kind of stuff too. So we pushed that this morning too, that they need to spend more time on the road.
And you guys actually do that. And especially lately. And it's been interesting, especially the Midwest is probably where we're currently most underserved. Like our volume level in the Midwest is probably half of what it should be. For a variety of reasons. But lately I've been spending a lot of time with your reps going into shops, and it is an eye-opening experience because we haven't done a very good job pushing the products through a number of commercial strategies over the last 20 years, we being IPS, with the Welding brand. And so now that we're actively doing that, we're trying to find partners like Wensco to get out in front of people. And when you get face-to-face and you start talking about the product, they either don't know it and they're open to it, because we do have value propositions that make sense to people right there and then. You know, you're identifying a problem they're trying to solve, and we have a solution, and they just want to hear that. And then when you ask for a demo and you come back and you're shooting the product, you let them get some hands-on with it. They see, you know, even more value in using the products. But but it all starts with, you know, traveling with you guys.
Yeah. In the Midwest in that market is growing. Like the national chains type things that they do in the Midwest is growing for, I think, multiple reasons. One, it's still very competitive here. It's not like a Denver market where you're not getting the good service. You're not getting the right price. Like here, it's still competitive. There's still us and Glance and Sign Outlet and Mid-Dash West. Like we're all still fighting.
I'm glad you got it.
I got it right.
You got the dash. And
I just saw those guys on Friday. Like they were at the same show I was.
Did they emphasize that we had to say Mid-Dash?
No, they didn't say that, but I wanted to ask. I didn't though. But there's still a lot of good competitors right here in the Midwest. So it keeps everything competitive.
Yeah.
It keeps the service level up. It keeps the price up. So you're getting some of these sign shops that can get all that good service are starting to get these national companies because we are competitive right here. Where like in Denver, they're not getting the service and they're not getting the price and they're losing accounts.
Yeah.
Because they simply can't get the product in time. And so the Midwest is growing. If you're in the sign industry in the Midwest, it's growing right now. It's really growing. Yeah.
And we've sold Lord for a super long time, right? A long time. So when you say like we were weak in the Midwest, like historically speaking, that's kind of what we had. Yep. I mean, that's what we did.
We've always had the weld on, the ones you talked about, the 16, 3, 4, like
which
since I was
that's
here.
what our customers have always known. And it's been a much, I think what we thought before bringing another adhesive on was that switch would be hard, right? Or it would be confusing for customers. And we found it surprisingly easy. I mean, it helps if a certain company stops making the product in general, it makes it a little easier to switch people to a new one. But the people, it became easy to switch. And then the people that we did switch were just at least equally as happy, if not even more happy with the product. Right. So it just makes it an easy move for us. So hopefully we can keep growing that one, especially.
I think the newer generation of people that are coming through are starting to realize, you know, they're more educated. They're finding out, you know, more about how do I do things faster, better. And I think these newer, younger sign owners are open to listening to the older generation to figure out what worked. I mean, I had a good conversation at our open house I had an older generation and a younger generation, but I kind of overheard them talking, and he was asking, the younger guy was like, what works, what doesn't work, what's working for you, you know, and the older generation was more than happy to tell them. Yeah. And I think that's where we're finding a lot of good success right now with our growth, is that people are willing to listen to new options, new products, you know, even, you know, bringing on different weld-on products. I didn't know I could do this with this version of 46C or whatever it may be. You know, it just eye-opening their whole sense of trying to grow their business and what works and what doesn't work. I think we're starting to see the benefits of that.
If there's anything I can hope that like my generation can get rid of is this is always the way we've done it, so this is why we're going to keep doing it, right? That doesn't mean you've been doing it right for the last 10 years, right? Which I think is what some people are realizing when in adhesive, this is a good example, but across the board, when they make a switch and you're like, well, we saved a lot of time doing that. It's like when you put a rollover table in, right? And someone's like, no, we're fine. We've been doing this by hand. And then one guy does it and he's like, you're telling me I've probably done 10,000 of these things, and you're telling me I could have just saved, 10 seconds on each of them, right? I'd have days of my life back right now. Yeah. So, and I think people are finding that in adhesives, right? They're using older technology, and there's new stuff out there that's going to do a better job of what you need.
And there's some glue companies or adhesive companies that come out with like, what is the name of that? Where you're like a big name brand, like they're not going to make a product that doesn't work. And there's some of these other brands like, is it going to work? Like, we don't even know who they are. Right. So like you're such a name brand behind it. Like there's research and there's development behind like your product that comes out. Like, You don't have to ask if it's going to work. It's going to work. Some people still, I need a demo. Okay. We know it's going to work. Like everybody knows, like your name's behind it. It's going to work.
Mm-hmm. They're not easy things to develop because of the formulation work that's there, because you're dealing with kind of finicky raw materials, and then just the mixers and the material and the energy that has to go into the final product that then gets packaged that you guys see, right? There's a lot that goes into that. It's labor intensive. It's just not. It's not easy. So when you see some of these pop-up companies that are coming through your door and they're basically offering something that is ridiculously less expensive than, say, Lord or Plexus or Weldon, the red flag should kind of go up as to why are you able to do this at this number? And you're seeing wholesale changes now with some of the bigger, lower cost guys who now their parent companies are sitting there saying, hey, this is actually expensive to make. We can't keep giving it away, so we're going to raise prices. Or you have people that basically have other industries that they're going after that they think they're better margins, things like that. We've kind of maintained the middle ground as far as pricing. We would like to sell it for a little bit more, but I'm not sure that the market's ready to bear that yet. But what we're consistent with is our product quality. We're gonna, when we engineer, we don't come out with new products that often, but when we do, there's a lot that goes into that because they have to work, because they can't fail, right? And that takes time to test. So we're very confident when we bring something into market that it's going to work. But even having said that, sometimes we make mistakes. And so you have to go back and you have to, sort of look at the formulation, make sure it works. Again, time consuming, costs money. So you better get it right. And you better make sure that what you're doing works in the applications you're saying that it works in. Because if I come through your door, especially at an end user, and I convince them to go out and buy a couple cases through Wensco, they bring it in and maybe on one job it works. And then 3 jobs later, all of a sudden, it's not setting up. That's doom for me, right? So we're constantly thinking in those terms. And once we have a product that we're confident with, we're going to come to you and say, hey, can I show your sales team this and tell you why you should be pushing this product versus anything else or versus mechanical fastening? Because we're 100% committed and convinced that we have an answer, we have a solution, and that, the general public, the buying public needs to know about it.
So speaking of that, in terms of new products coming out, so you guys have something relatively new that a lot of people are probably going to get forced into, but from one way or another. So can you kind of explain what's going on with that, at least on our side of the industry?
Yeah, so we are just about to launch modified versions of Weldon 3, 4, and 16. So those solvent cements probably make up the highest volume for any of the solvent cements that we sell throughout this platform. Like I said, they've been basically industry standards for 2 decades. In April of 2023, the EPA made an announcement they were banning methylene chloride. That was due to a handful of unfortunate deaths or serious health issues caused by inhaling raw methylene chloride when trying to strip paint off of bathtubs in an enclosed environment. But in somewhat of a, I guess, draconian manner, they just decided nobody can use methylene chloride, for better or for worse. So last year, when we were kind of gearing up for what we thought, according to the EPA timeframe, were the first round of pretty hardcore, like you can't use this anymore, they decided to exempt products that fell under a category that was called industrial solvent welding, which that's generally how you define what you're doing with Weldon 3, 4, and 16. You're solvent welding acrylic. So there was an exemption granted to manufacturers like us. However, the caveat is that if you're the end user who wants to buy my product, while you can, you have to go out and redo your ventilation system. You have to add certain things that basically make sure that you're pulling those hazardous particles or fumes out through a ventilation system that doesn't really allow much of that to then be into the environment, and that costs a lot of money. Furthermore, you have to go out and buy PPE that is ridiculously expensive. Now, if you want to do those 2 things and then you want to report back to the EPA and to OSHA that you've done those, you can use methylene chloride. If you don't do those things, the fines are pretty draconian, and OSHA is already starting to make threats that we know of in North Carolina last week. So we made the decision, while still offering 3, 4, and 16 until next year, we reformulated those products because we just want customers to be able to use them in their current form. So we went through an exhausting kind of R&D phase, got the first 3 iterations of the reformulated product out to about 12 different customers nationwide, sign fabricators, as well as people making various acrylic products. We had some issues with the clarity because, those 3 products are crystal clear, water thin products. We had to go back, kind of tweak the formula. All of our internal testing was great. So we then put it back out into the field. The only consideration that came back that was short of the 12 that tested it in the United States, and then 3 in Asia, everybody gave the go on the go, no go comment. The only consideration is the viscosity is slightly thicker with the 16 than the current version. So you're going to need to test it and kind of figure out your application from there. But from a mechanical properties, strength standpoint, cure time, working time, clarity, the 3 modified versions work as well, if not better, than the current formula, which was the benchmark that we had to basically, or the threshold that we had to meet or surpass. So we were very confident from that standpoint. We are going to start announcing that rollout, I think, as early as this week. The plan is to have weekly communications, basically starting with you guys and saying, hey, here's what the SKUs are going to be. This is the basically the sell sheet. This is what it's going to look like. This is how we're selling it versus welding or versus other application techniques. And here's what you need to be able to tell people that say want to use methylene chloride going forward. And this is why we advocate not doing that, but using these modified versions because they work better than the current formula. Your applications are not going to have to change, so you know what you're doing already. They're going to work in the same manner that, the 16 you're looking at right now, when we get you the new product, it's going to perform the same way. So we're going to start rolling that out this week. I'd initially thought that we would go live with the launch of the product and get it into the field, into people's warehouses by the end of this month. That looks like it's going to happen in July, but the communications should start this week.
That's about when this will air, right?
Yeah. So when you said this month,
you're probably right.
You're right.
You're probably right. This will air next. This will air next month.
So we're very excited about it. It's been a tough year because there's some rumors, some innuendo, some bad communication. The goalposts have consistently been moved by the EPA. So even we didn't know. We would get some communication about the timeline to the ban taking full effect, what the fines would look like, what we were able to do, and then they would change a month later. So this has been a 2-year process. It's not an easy thing to do, but we're pretty excited about it. It should be a very good thing for early adopters. We're looking for partners who want to kind of bring material in early or pre-order because we think the demand is going to be pretty high. So as a manufacturer and as a commercial sales leader, this is an exciting thing to be able to offer because the products, everybody knows what they are. Mm-hmm. And now we're coming in with some clarity and a solution. So from IPS's point of view, we're very excited about this.
So the question I have is, so say somebody got the new version without knowing they got the new version. So on 16, you're saying it's a little thicker, so it's going to be a little more.
We've had one person say they thought it was thicker. That was about the extent of the complaints about.
So besides that, my question is, would anyone notice?
Nope.
Well, that's the goal, right?
Okay. The product has a different label.
Yep.
Yeah. It has a different SKU because we can't take the risk of not, that has to be the absolute standard, right? So they'll know right off the bat. I mean, it's still going to have the same general branding, but it'll be like Weld on 16. And I think there's an acronym, non-methylene chloride, NMC or something like that, or,
VOCs would be a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, but we also have to meet a couple of different standards nationwide from a VOC perspective. Yep. So yes, so we've gone kind of with the idea that, okay, the target is to get this in front of people that can't use methylene chloride. But beyond that, we want to make sure the VOC levels are at a point where if that comes to the EPA's attention and they decide they're going to make a change, well, we're already going to be within a certain point that we think we're going to be good for years out. We remove TCE because that's another product that's on the chopping block. There'll be additional issues that we're going to have to face with the solvent cements, but that's just the general nature of the chemicals that go into making them. So we're trying to get in front of that, and we believe we have. But there shouldn't. You'd really have to be not paying attention to mistake the new version and the way that it's going to be packaged. It'll look the same, but it'll have distinct markers to let you know that you're not using the old one.
Oh, we'll get the call.
Oh, you will. You will.
We'll get the call.
No, so I get that, but my question is more on the side of the application and use of it, right? Like, say somebody's familiar with any of the 3 previous products, right, and they installed the new one. Is everything else going to be pretty much the same, right? Like, if
basically, to try to simplify, this is just a plug and play.
Okay,
we're coming to you saying you don't want to have to mechanically fasten or solvent weld in another manner, or even you're not going to weld acrylic, but the point is you could plasma treat certain plastics. But what we're saying is, so we did all the legwork, we did all the homework, we modified the product's formulation so that it doesn't use methylene chloride as the active ingredient, so you can use it the exact way tomorrow that you're using it today. Perfect. We don't want you to change,
perfect.
The application, whether that be dip soak or capillary. You do it the same way. The product's going to work the exact same way, as quick, same working time, same clarity, same application technique. Essentially, we're just saying we've done all the work, so you don't have to, and you don't have to worry about the ban, and you don't have to worry about PPE or ventilation or fines or reporting back to OSHA. So
that's good, because we really don't want to report to OSHA.
We're big OSHA followers.
Yeah, we are big OSHA fans. We just want them to know that.
ISO certified?
We don't want your autograph, though, so please don't come for autographs.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. No, but I mean, we already went way over, but thank you. Seriously, I had a bunch of other questions we could have gone through, but I think this was super quality for people that are either using adhesives or thinking about it at all. So I appreciate you coming out and
my pleasure,
kind of sharing that with everybody. And if you guys have further questions, reach out to your sales rep. Or you can reach out to me and I'll forward you to a sales rep, but preferably reach out to your sales rep. So thanks for coming on. You guys have anything to add in the end?
I don't.
No?
I mean, it was pretty informative even for me.
Favorite restaurant, favorite food?
Oh yeah, that's our usual
favorite
outro.
Restaurant.
You go to Vegas, is there a spot?
When I go to Las Vegas,
is there somewhere where I always got to go here?
I do. There's a place. There's a place off the strip called Herbs and Rye, and it's like a kind of an industry wait staff bartender's favorite. So they have an interesting happy hour for maybe 3 hours where it's half price beef. So it's packed, right? I mean, you have to get a reservation, and the bar is like 3 deep with people who are either there because they found out this place is pretty killer. It sits right next to like a used car lot, but it's Herbs and Rye in Las Vegas. I would highly recommend and go at happy hour to get half off beef, half off really good cuts of beef. Right?
There you go.
Funny. Guys, before we leave today, I just wanted to ask you one quick question, and that is, what is a pirate's favorite application tape? R tape. R tape is the #1 application tape in the United States, and it comes with an RLA, which is a release liner adhesion, meaning it's going to stick to the liner. Even on cut graphics, if you roll it, it's not going to tunnel, wrinkle, or curl, or anything like that. So if you're looking for the best application tape for cut graphics out there, R tape RLA is for you, and you can get it at Wensco.com.
Are you going to do another Ironman?
I'm debating. I'm 53 years old, and I kept telling myself I'd do one every 5 years, so it's approaching 55 in 2 years. I hate running, so my body's not really designed for that. So I usually end up injuring myself. But
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Will I do another one? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, they become stupidly expensive to enter. And I just don't really care about that stuff anymore. But I'll break down at some point and do something. Lately, it's been these gravel road races, these endurance. That's pretty cool. So that's kind of.
You can do an ultra next.
They do this thing. They do this thing on Mackinac where you swim around the island. I think it's like 8 miles.
Oh, you swim around?
Yeah, it's in August.
The race that I did was the run around Mackinac Island. It's 8 mile run, but swim around.
Yeah,
it's cold.
Yeah, and you have to wear a wetsuit. You have to have a spotter like with you. You have to wear like a buoy and have to have somebody in a kayak. But I have a buddy that did that 2 years ago, and it looks pretty cool. And you're not in really deep water. It's crystal clear at that point, and maybe 4 or 5 feet deep or something. But that's on the horizon. I don't, it's not going to happen this summer. But those kind of things, but no more of the.
I need to practice swimming. That's what I'm learning.
No,
I just looked at the hardest part of all of those for me would be that 1.2 mile swim. I'm pretty sure I'd drown.
If you got a swimming coach though, because you think you can swim good until you get a swimming coach where you're swimming efficient.
Yeah. No,
you have to learn how to swim efficient. And to be honest, swimming efficient is just as fast as when you think you're just flailing your arms out there trying to go fast.
That's exactly what I do now.
It's swimming efficiency.
Yeah, it's just key. Stroke efficiency, especially. I mean, if you're swimming in a wetsuit, that's going to give you the buoyancy that you're trying to compensate anyway. So a lot of your energy goes to keeping you on a plane. But if you're in a wetsuit, it's great, and then you're just all of your energy is propelling you. And I think a lot of people that don't swim regularly don't get that, and so you waste a lot of energy. Yeah, if you'd have somebody show you some stroke technique and some ability, some way to be more efficient.
Let's do it, Tyler.
Yeah.
I'll challenge you right now.
Here we go.
I think when you get in the water with like 2,000 people or 1,500 people at once, for a big start, it's a little overwhelming trying to find some space, and you're getting kicked in the face and people are swimming over you.
I'd be grabbing people and throwing them under.
It's kind of a scrum, which I think it takes you a couple of years of doing those sort of things to even get used to mentally. But I would say try a small one if you want to try.
Drown.
Bring it.
Yeah.
You won't drown. Oh, it's a triathlon.
Yeah, you won't drown.
That's the lower version of an Ironman. What's the difference between an Ironman and a triathlon?
They're the same, just distances.
That's what I'm saying. So what is a triathlon distance? Do you know?
Well, there's sprint, there's Olympic or international, then there's half Ironman, then there's Ironman, and then there's one for completely insane masochists who want to really hurt themselves.
Let's do that one.
That's double. So like this one,
ultra,
70.
Yeah, 70. So then an Ironman's 140, 140 miles. So your 2-mile swim, 112-mile bike, and a marathon. So 24.
You in, Domingo?
No.
Yeah, I mean, smart people don't.
Part.
Yeah, smart people don't do this kind of stuff.
I'll root you on.
Yeah,
thank you. Appreciate it.
Go team, go.
Yeah.
You're trying to set a timeline here? We'll figure it out.
Well, I got to repair. I'm still repairing my hamstring from when you guys.
Yeah, you got another year and a half.
When you guys pushed me down in that sprint.
No, go do the Barry-Roubaix bike race in the spring. It's in Hastings, Michigan. It's one of the greatest gravel or endurance events in the country. It's a blast. The town.
What do you have to do? You just have to ride a bike
on. Yeah,
can you use an electric bike?
No, I mean people probably do though. But I mean maybe you could. I don't think they.
Is it off road?
How far?
Yeah, it's all dirt. It's all gravel.
Oh, dirt and gravel.
Well, it depends. They have.
See, I
think they've got 4 different levels. Maybe 18 or 20, 36, 60, and 100 miles. So smart people will do the 36 because they have this massive party afterward. So Founders has a big beer tent set up.
You got my attention.
Yeah, I'll ride 36.
That's fun.
He's laying down on the ground because his legs don't work anymore. But
no,
hey,
I've done 36 miles before.
Go out and ride the 18-mile. It's fun, and the whole town gets behind it. It's probably one of the best events in the country as far as gravel road racing. Yeah.
So I'll end with this because we got to get to another meeting here in a second. But I saw a post the other day, and I was laughing. I was just talking about my options are to train harder or go to therapy. Those are the only possible 2 options that my brain could consider right now. So I picked option 2, train harder. So someone said I just turned 30, so now I have 1 or 2 options, and it's to train for a half marathon or pick up a new hobby. So does anyone have any hobby suggestions?
Yeah.
And I thought, gosh dang it, I picked the other one. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I turned 30 and my brain just goes like, I need to run further. So
it's in our spirit though, right? Like it's the whole spirit. Like
something broken inside me where I was like, I'm going to just run 3 miles every day. Right. And I made it through May and I was like, this isn't enough. Like, I just feel like I'm just like coasting by and people are like, you're running 3 miles. I'd be like, yeah, it's 3 miles every day, dude. When you've been doing it for 9 months in a row, you're just like, I just go out and I run. I'm not getting any faster. If anything, I felt like I was getting slower. So I was like, all right, I guess we're going to train twice as hard as I was before. I don't know. Something's broken.
I mean, when you guys pushed me down, I tore my hamstring bad. I still have that goal of competing in one powerlifting competition. So I've still been training with the hamstring that bruises up every time
you could pull it off.
Every time I deadlift.
You just deadlift with just your left leg.
But I haven't stopped yet. Yeah, I only need 1 leg anyways.
That's true. But all right. Ron's got to get to, he's got to talk to everybody else in 10 minutes.
He's got 10 minutes.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Hopefully you guys learned something.
This is fun.
And we'll see you in the next episode. So goodbye.
Oh, wait. That one. Bye.
See ya.